So many great beatdowns in this episode. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and this is our Titans Season 2, Episode 5 recap. But before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody to get in on our very first giveaway. We're giving away a Blu-ray copy of Spider-Man Far From Home, and in order to win, you have to subscribe, click like on this video, and leave a comment. We'll do the drawing at the beginning of next month. Good luck. Okay guys, wow, well, let me just jump in and say, I love this episode. It was a ball. We've waited to get this style of Deathstroke on the screen for decades, and it's finally happening. But let's jump back to the beginning of the episode. I continue to just love Colonel Walters' Jason Todd. The amount of crap talking that he does in this episode is epic. And him using his mouth and attitude as a weapon and bait for Dr. Light was great. I mean, who didn't see that coming? Let's face it, Colonel Walters is turning one of the least liked characters in the history of comic books, you know, the guy that got voted to die, into one of the most likable characters on the show. Hats off. Then there's Dr. Light. Light is such an atypical bad guy falling for this level of trolling. As I said last time, I find him to be a bit of a mustache twirler, but as we know, he's not much of a problem anymore. We'll get back to that. Now this episode picked right up with Jason abducted by Deathstroke and him baiting the team. And it didn't hesitate letting people know how each team member felt about Jason. Hank's animosity towards Jason in this episode, well, it develops a little. Hank Hall is still one of my favorite characters, and clearly he's becoming something a little more to Jason. Now true, despite how bothered he is when during the search segment of the show when they can't find him, he's so clearly Team Jason. He has become his big brother. Yeah, Jason's a bit of an ass, but Hank's a bigger one, and genuinely likes the kid. You can see him almost evolving into a father figure in his own eyes, something that I'm sure is new to him, and I suspect, because we know what happens to Jason in the comics, will become a big part of what will lead Hank to a dark place after Jason's death. I think one of the other big plot points of this episode was the full manifestation and display of her powers by Rachel. She really did put the slap down on Rose Wilson. We all know that Rachel didn't mean to kill her, but clearly something dark is living inside of her, and with the whole team standing there with their jaws agape, clearly something's going to happen down the road in this season. I think if it wasn't for the crisis of the moment of Jason being abducted, it would have been something the team would have had to deal with immediately. Now, it should have been of no surprise to anybody that Deathstroke's plan was to trade Jason for Rose. And clearly, there's something really special about Rose, and that may be what Deathstroke is after. Watching her going through that really creepy healing segment makes you wonder what's really going on with her and why Deathstroke wants her back. One of the other surprises of this episode was the death of Dr. Light. Now, if you're watching this, you kind of expected it to happen, well, as soon as he met Deathstroke. And it's pretty amazing that Slade Wilson held out putting a bullet in this guy's head for as long as he did. His death scene did make me jump in my chair a little bit and laugh out loud. You knew it was coming for this guy, and integrating his body into part of his plan was perfectly Deathstroke. One of the other aspects of this episode was the weight that's on Dick Grayson. Dick talking about the old team and how they lost Gar, as well as how he really just wants to protect the new team, I think is really key to this episode and what led to him surrendering himself to Deathstroke. This is really a Dick Grayson thing to do, or maybe even referring back to the last episode of being Batman. He simply was the hero that he is. And this leads us to the cliffhanger. Now, what a great comic booky style cliffhanger. It almost reminded me of the classic 66 show, with a clock ticking and a trap and all stakes hanging in the balance. The fight scenes between Wilson and Grayson were great, with the fights almost being a demonstration of how much better Dick Grayson is at fighting than the rest of the other characters on the show. Special hats off to the stunts and choreography crew for these fights this week. With the cliffhanger seeming to indicate that Jason's going to fall to his death, those anticipating the Red Hood are probably a little too excited a little too soon. I don't think they're going to write Jason out of the story, and we did see Colonel Walters on set for the final episode, so that might be a clue too. I actually think what we're about to see is Kory manifest her flight powers. But we're going to have to wait till next week's episode to find out. That's pretty much all I got for this episode, but I would love to hear what you guys thought of this episode of Titans, what you think of Deathstroke, and what you think of some of the storylines that they have moving in this episode. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like below, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.